This video is about how I could make it to become a self-employed photographer and videographer within only 12 months and how I could make 32,000 euros out of a 200 euros investment in my photography business. Don't get me wrong at this point, I don't want to show off with money amounts and how much I made and how cool I am, not at all. I just want to share with you guys my story and maybe inspire you and show you some ways how you can be able to make it as a self-employed and full-time photographer and videographer as well. If you're new to this channel, my name is Avid. I'm a full-time wedding photographer, but I also enjoy creating social media content such as IG Reels, but also I like to create commercials and image videos because that is where I can really become creative with making videos, and that's why I also like to do that. Now, before I got into photography and became a full-time videographer and photographer, I worked for 9 months at a camera shop where I sold cameras, and after those 9 months I was a content creator at a consultant agency. I produced TikToks and stuff like that. So I was employed for a total 12 months, and since July of this year, so only a couple of months, I'm self-employed because I could manage to find a way how I can generate income on a monthly basis as a self-employed photographer and videographer, which I'm going to share with you in a bit. Back in April 2021, a good friend of mine who is also a great videographer and photographer asked me if I wanted to join him on a wedding style shooting as a videographer. If you don't know what's a style shooting, basically it's a fake wedding where all of the wedding service providers come together, show their work. You get to know the people who are there, so it's great for connecting. And also afterwards, when the results are published on social media, everyone gets credit and some reach for their channels. So that's mainly the point of a style shooting, which I agreed to and went on. And when I came back home, I realized something. Even though I was there as a videographer, I realized that I've been taking over 800 pictures, and I was like, okay, maybe I really like taking pictures on weddings. As the days moved on, I had to figure out a way how to put a step in that door of wedding photography, but I had no clue how to start, how to get the first clients, and so on. So I had to find someone who was there where I wanted to be, who could be kind of a mentor for me, which I also did. So I went on Instagram, and while I was scrolling through my IG feed or my Explore feed, I found someone called Lola. So I directly hit her up and asked her for help. But something very, very important which I paid attention to was that I didn't ask for help straightforward, but I offered something in return, which is a game changer whenever you want to ask someone for any help. She agreed, we had the first call, and after that call, Lola surprisingly promised me that if I'd build a solid portfolio, she would recommend me to the couples that she could not accept because she had a full schedule. So that was our deal, but I never thought anything of that. There was I facing the next challenge, finding the first weddings and finding someone who I can go with to a wedding and a second shooter and so on, which I did. It was a lot of work. I did all of that besides my full-time job as a side hustle. I guess lots of you guys know that kind of hustle and how much effort and time goes into that kind of jobs. After a couple of months, I was able to manage to book some small weddings here and there. A couple of months later, through Lola, I got to know another photographer whose work I directly fell in love with, whose name is Katarina Fedora. Now, at that time, I needed help with my website because I had built up a website and a portfolio, but I did not know if I did everything that I could possibly do right. So I just asked her for some help, but I offered her money, as I always do, because I don't want to just take things and don't give anything back. She said, no, I'm good, I'd like to help you for free, which I was very thankful for. So that was a way how I kind of got to know my second mentor, Katarina Fedora, who taught me a lot of things about how to sell yourself, how to put up your website, how to attract those customers that you actually want to attract, and so on. And it was finally so far. At the end of 2021 and at the beginning of this year, Lola sent me a lot of requests. She recommended me as she promised, and I got so many requests that I booked, and that brought me in total 32,000 euros. So it was only the weddings that I got from Lola's recommendation which brought me 32,000 euros. Yet still it wasn't enough to go as a full-time photographer and videographer because I had invested almost half of that money in my business. I had to invest in my gear and stuff like that. I needed more clients and more projects. Especially, I needed to make sure that I have an income on a monthly basis. So at that time, at the beginning of this year, my best friend Philip, who is a Android and coding YouTuber, asked me if I could help him to make some social media content, IG Reels, TikToks, and stuff like that. And I said, definitely, why not? That was my very first customer who paid me money on a monthly basis so I can produce some social media content for them. So far so good. I was in my part-time job at this consulting agency, but I was still trying to figure out a way how I could get out and become a full-time photographer and videographer. So I needed at least one more customer who I can create content for, maybe for Instagram and so on, so I can generate monthly income. After a couple of months, I got a personal training from my best friend Philip as my birthday gift, and I got to know Chris. Soon it turned out that he also needed some help with his social media content, and we agreed on something. I helped him, and after a couple of months, he actually grew his IG from 14K followers to over 40,000 followers, which was amazing, which worked out pretty well. And there I was with my second customer who I could generate monthly income with. So on the one side, I had the weddings, and on the other hand, I had two customers, including my best friend, who I created social media content on a monthly basis, which also brought me in money on a monthly basis. At that point, it was clear. I could and should quit my job because otherwise I could not manage all that work besides my part-time job. So on the 1st of July 2022, I decided to become a full-time photographer and videographer, quit my job. And that was exactly 1 year after I started my very first job at that camera shop. So it took me entire 12 months to become a full-time photographer and videographer. Now, let's pause for a second and see what exactly happened. First, I figured out what I was interested in. Then I found someone who was exactly there where I wanted to be and who I could ask for help. After that, I actually asked for help, but I offered something in return, which is again very, very important. Otherwise, they might not be willing to help you. Fourth, try to figure out other income streams. Number 5, figured them out and just realized them. And number 6, I just quit my job and became a full-time photographer and videographer. Now, that was how it worked with me and all of those people who were involved, helping me to become a self-employed photographer and videographer that I always wanted to be. But now I'm gonna present to you some universal rules that you could follow that could probably help you and work out for you in order to become a full-time and self-employed photographer and videographer. First thing, find a niche that you want to work in by trying out different things. Go on style shootings, go on sets, film sets, and try to help those people who are there in order to be able to gain some experience in return, and try to figure out what you really like and what you want to make money with. Again, at this point, I cannot say it enough, make sure what's in for them and why they could need your help, because otherwise you might not get through and maybe they deny to help you. Second, find a mentor. It's always important to have someone who you can look up to. No matter how advanced you are and how advanced you think you are, there's always someone who is more advanced than you and who can help you out with some sort of things, who has more experience than you and who you can always learn from. So it's not a shame, be humble and find someone who you can learn from. Third, don't forget to network. Connect with people in your niche, connect with people from other niches. It's always good to know other people because those people know people and those again know people and so on. That is how networking works, and maybe at some point they need some of your help and you need some of their help. Besides that, you can see how they work, how their workflows are, and maybe you can apply some of their workflow to your own workflow and become more effective. And also very, very important, something that a fellow creator on YouTube said called Dustin Harrelson: do a good job and be a pleasure to work with. And I'd like to add to that, be fun to be around. Because when you're fun to be around, people will make sure to have you around them, and that will benefit you a lot. Number 4, spread the word. No matter who you're talking to, whenever they ask what you're doing, just tell them. Don't be too fast forward and don't push it too much. Don't be a tryhard, but just tell them what you're doing, why you're doing it, and what you like about it. That is how you let others know what you're doing, and maybe they know someone who knows someone who needs your help, and that is how you actually network and find customers. Now, you might call it luck that I was asked by Shadi to join him on that style shooting. You might also call it luck that I found Lola and Katarina who could help me out and who I got a lot of recommendations from. And also you could call it luck that I had my best friend and Chris who needed content for their social media. And I'm pretty sure that luck plays a role in that whole process. But imagine what would have happened if I canceled on Shadi at the beginning, if I didn't build up a solid portfolio, if I didn't reach out to Lola and Katarina. What happened if I didn't do a great job while working with my best friend, and what happened if I could not turn Chris into a customer? What would you think how far I could have gone with that? See, there's always two things that happen. First thing is the effort you put into your work, and second is the opportunities that you get from God, universe, faith, you name it. From that point on, it's up to you if you want to put more effort in what was given to you and embrace those opportunities, or you just let it down and let it go and don't use them the way you could use them. Well, that was my story, how I could make my dream come true within 12 months. When do you start?